Hi, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Amanda, and this is The Pursuit of Badasserie, the podcast.
This podcast is all about taking action and creating that badass business abundance and life that you want.
Where we share stories, laughs, wins, and epic fails to show you the whole picture of the entrepreneurial journey.
It's not just unicorns and rainbows, people.
Jump on and follow us through this raw and witty roller coaster,
where we get down and dirty and go behind the scenes of life and entrepreneurship.
Get on it,
get over it,
and get after it.
Hey, I'm Lynn.
And I'm Amanda. Welcome to The Pursuit of Badasserie, the podcast. Today, we're talking about something that I hate talking about because it drives me insane. And I wish I didn't ever have to have this conversation again. So hopefully by the end of this podcast, I will have imparted to all of you how important it is to talk about your business. Today, we're talking about how important it is to talk about your business.
Yeah.
Let's talk.
You know, it's interesting when you brought up this topic, I was reminded of so many different moments of having this conversation. And I actually remember one in particular when I owned a franchise and we were talking about, we had a group of non-franchisees in that were part of a training process essentially for us to learn how to train them in different things. And this one girl had this story about how essentially she was a financial advisor and she didn't want to burden her family. You know, she thought that they knew what she did or whatever. And all of a sudden she's at a family gathering and one of her relatives was like, yeah, I just signed with this new financial advisor. And I forget how much, it was a ridiculous amount of money. And she was so pissed that they went with another financial advisor. And I remember looking at her and saying, when was the last time you talked to them about what you did? They know what I do and I don't want to hound them because they're family. Well, you actually put yourself in this position. I mean, now there's a bit more complexity, especially when it comes to money and different things. And also family doesn't always want to do business with family, which is a whole other topic and understandable. But the simple fact is that she didn't talk about her business. She didn't let people know that she wanted business in that particular situation. And give story after story after story where even with myself, people didn't know I was open for business, right? They thought that I was full at capacity because I wasn't talking about my business so much. It's such an interesting loophole that we get into.
And I think there's a lot of people who have that fear that they're going to upset their family or their friends or overwhelm them or make them feel bad or feel pushy and salesy. But I keep thinking about all those parties that they throw now. And I maybe I'm just the only person who throws these kind of parties, but where you do a presentation to find out what your friends do because nobody knows what anybody does for a living because nobody talks about it. And I think that's crazy that you'll have these long-term relationships with people and have no idea what they do. You have no idea what's in their business. You don't know what they're selling. You don't even know that you could go to them when you needed something. I remember I put in floors in one of my brick and mortars, tile and wood floors. And I had no idea that one of my best friends worked at a flooring store. How did I not know that? Months into the process, trying to select tile, she's like, do you want me to look at it? I think I have that tile in stock. And I'm like, you have a tile? I had no clue. I mean, it didn't save me money in the end because in the end I used her. But it would have saved me months of time if I had just known and if she had ever talked about it, if we'd ever had a discussion about it. And I think I deal with clients all the time. I mean, it's a constant conversation of this product isn't selling. And then I ask, when's the last time you talked about that product? Oh, well, it's been a couple months, but people know I have it. I'm like, no, they don't. When's the last time you mentioned it on social media? I was like 6 months ago, I put it up there and it was on there for a while. And I'm like, 6 months ago, your social media platform is good for 4 hours. If they didn't see it, they didn't see it. And so they feel bad about sending emails out. I don't want to send more than one email about it because they're going to get upset. I'm like, no, they're not. They probably didn't see the first 10 emails you sent. And I say that as somebody who has 50 emails from certain companies that are sitting in my inbox. I haven't looked at them. And I'll look at them later, be like, oh, that would have been a really cool sale. Too bad it was 7 months ago. Whoops. So people feel like everybody is they'll be so mad at me if they're going to want to instantly put me in spam. No, people are self-absorbed. People care about themselves. So they don't know about your business. They don't know that you're selling a new t-shirt. They don't know that you got a new line of stuff in. even if they're inside your brick and mortar. And this happened with one of my employees like a month ago, or actually like 2 weeks ago. I told them a specific script. I need you to upsell, like sell this thing. And even though the client had walked by the rack of clothes, the same shirt, they'd walked by it maybe 50 times in that 4 or 5 months, it was pointed out to them, and then they bought it because they just were like blinders, didn't see it. If I hadn't made my employee literally say, this shirt is on sale, it never would have sold, because people have blinders on. They're not thinking about that thing. So you got to talk about your business. You got to talk about the stuff. You got to sell the stuff by talking about the stuff. Otherwise, what are you doing? Why do you even have a business? You don't have any clients because you're not talking about it. That's why.
Oh,
Sorry.
absolutely. I mean, when we get into the sales aspect with different clients, they're so afraid of that because they feel like they're being like pushy, or they want to stay humble and have humility. And that is guiding them, not boasting about their products or services in their business. And it's hurting you because people do not know what you have to offer. And because we're so overstimulated, you have to stay in people's front of mind, right? So, and as far as emails, it kind of kills me is that people subscribe to your email list. Listen, I do subscribe to people's email lists and maybe get 1 or 2 things. And I'm one who hates emails. I do not read them. I hate emails so much. Amanda's laughing. I'm so bad at emails. And then I'll get into a habit where I'm staying on top of them. But at the end of the day, like, they subscribe to your email list, so communicate with them. If they are tired of getting so many, have an option in your email CRM where they can get less emails versus having all the emails that are coming. Or maybe they're just getting this particular type of email and not the other emails. There are so many different things that you can do to be able to help regulate that after the fact. But if you're not talking about your business, maybe you have a couple of referral partners, but you're not saying it top of mind. People aren't going to buy from you because they don't know what you're selling. They don't know that you're open for business. And I use air quotes loosely there. Yeah, talking about your business is you having a business. It's about education. It's about connection. It's about letting people know that you're open to take business. It is such a weird rabbit hole that we get in. It's insane. And, to go back to a comment that you made about, like, even with clients, and I know we went through this a couple of times with some clients in our Badasserie, is like, oh, well, I have this product and it's not selling, or I'm about to release this product. And okay, well, how are you going to get it out there? Oh, I don't know. If you build it, they're not going to come. And I know we've talked about that. We have a podcast on it. Like, for fuck's sake, like, you have to do the work in order to get it out there. And so you have to talk about your business. If you don't talk about your business, then you don't have a business.
Absolutely. I think people think that because the internet is so all encompassing, that just putting it out on the interweb is going to create business for you. It's not. That's not how the internet works. That's great, but that's why things like SEO exist. It's not just going to blow up overnight because you made a website and you have something available, like you have a digital product available. That's not how it works. You've got to talk about it. You got to convince people about it. In the olden days, I'll put that in quotes, it used to be the rule of 7. So it was 7 points of contact before a cold lead would become a buyer. But now I don't know the exact number, but I'm sure it's more than that because people are inundated now. I mean, back in the olden days, there just weren't as many opportunities to get inundated. We didn't get notifications on a phone. We didn't have phones. You had a lot more print media. There wasn't as much email marketing. Those things really didn't exist. I remember how blown away I was the first time I read an email and my name was in it. I was like, I was so impressed. And now, of course, it's like, duh, it's just a quick automation. But in the olden days, it was very impressive. But I don't know how many touch points it takes now. I probably should do the research on it, but I'm sure it's over 20 because you just get hit over and over. And it's such a fascinating, anybody who's ever tried to find something that they saw on Facebook knows how impossible it is to find something again. Oh, I think I saw this video. Like, good luck finding it again. Good luck. If you didn't save it, tag it, do something, you're never going to see it again because it churns so quickly. So if you're still going by that whole, if I say it once or twice, that's enough. It's not. You should say it once or twice, like a day, or at the very least a week. If you're trying to sell something, or trying to get the word out there about anything, you've got to talk about it, because people are inundated with information and they just aren't getting it the way they used to. If you're holding on to that idea that they only need 1 or 2 points of contact, newsflash, they're going to need way more in order to finally see the product at all, and then to build know, like, trust, and then to eventually give you the credit card for whatever it is you're selling. It takes time, and it takes you doing the work of actually talking about it.
Yeah. So you brought up a good point, and I think it is 15 to 20 points. You know, there's a difference between talking about your business and selling, right? So you making the distinction. I mean, there's a time for everything. So you need to build the note like trust. That's talking about your business. That's leading with stories. That's being authentic. That's sharing value and aspects. That's just talking about it. And then there's a selling cycle, or the sales aspect of it, where you're saying, hey, this is a solution, come here, right? Depending on what type of salesperson you are, from solution oriented to a pushy salesperson, that is a different conversation. But you talking about your business, the majority of the talking about your business is like building value and talking about stories and sharing that transparency or that personality that you have, letting people know that you're passionate about it, that you're in it, or like this is a client case study or testimonial. All of that adds to when it's time to actually sell. Because a lot of times people like, okay, well, I'll talk about my business, but only when they're selling a product. If they get to that point, like some people, you know, that sometimes they don't even try to sell the product. They think that the algorithms will, or the ads will, but all of a sudden people are just like individuals trying to just sell, but they haven't built any know, like, trust, because they haven't been talking about their business. So all of a sudden you're just being this pushy person when you should be like building. It's kind of like, it's the long game. And so you should be always talking about your business in different ways. And talking about your business is different than selling a product or service.
And I also want to draw the distinction here. What is the pain point? What is the block you have about talking about your business? Like, what is it? What's the thing? And I'll give you a very obvious example. When I used to own a pole dancing studio, back in the days before pole dancing was a thing. Okay. So we're talking like early 2000s. I didn't talk about my business for a couple of reasons. One of them, I wasn't sure how my day job was going to take it. Two, it was so taboo that the one time I put my phone number in, I was getting like breather calls. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm not talking about it. I'm not going to let anybody know. It's all going to be sort of like under the radar, under the table. And that's how I started the business. And that worked for what it was for that reason. However, if I tried to do that same formula now, I tell you right now, I would have no money. I would have no money, because you can't be afraid of the negative things that are going to come down. If it came down to like 500 breather calls, I would still do it, because I would just hire a service to like vent out those breather calls. Like I wouldn't let that stop me.
Beth.
Because now, yeah, exactly. Oh, Beth. Because now I know better, and that I actually hindered a lot of my growth in the early stages when I could have just completely blown up, because I was nervous about what other people thought. I was nervous about like the stigma that society, I was worried about what my boss at the time, because I still had a normal 9 to 5 at the time. I was worried what they were going to think. I was worried what family was going to think. And all this like unnecessary fear that really amounted to nothing. I could exponentially have grown. If I look back at the numbers, I'm like, oh my God, you're such an idiot, Amanda. But moving forward to starting businesses now, I would never do that. And when I find clients that really struggle about talking about their products and services, a lot of it comes from that fear of not wanting to be salesy, wanting to maintain your authenticity, doing all these things. And I feel like the most important thing is kind of work out, why is it that you're sticking on this? Why is it that you don't want to talk about your business? Are you ashamed of it? Are you worried about the fear that someone else, is it a fear of failure? Is it a fear of what other people will think in your community? If there's a fear of that, then I would recommend that you surround yourself with different people who lift you up and aren't throwing you down. But like, what's the thing that's holding you back? Because that fear of sales often is just this internalized fear of they don't want to be icky. They don't want to be the salesman. They don't want to be the car salesman. You don't have to be that kind of salesperson. Talking about your business doesn't mean that you're a sleazeball. It doesn't mean that you're trying to get all your friends to like sign up for your MLM. And even if you do, even if you have an MLM, go ahead and go down with your bad self. Talk about it. Talk about it. You don't know who's going to want to be your next person. And if you throw out there the assumption that nobody's going to want to hear from me and people are going to be turned off by that, then you're already right, because you're coming from a place of fear and a place of assuming that they're not going to want your product or service for whatever reason. And if that's your reason for not getting business, then it doesn't matter, because either way, you're not going to get business. Coming from a place of serving, coming from a place of solving a problem, you're always going to want to talk about it. So I would question and I would challenge you to really think about why you don't want to talk about what you're talking about. Are you not proud of it? Do you not like your business? Is there somebody like, what's the reason? Because there's got to be a block there, because I feel like when I'm really into it, I want to talk about it all the time. I'm fine being the annoying one who talks about her book.
We love our business, and our lives revolve really around our business. But at the same time, again, though I do want to stress, you should be talking about your business 85% of the time, and the sales is kind of talking about your business is only about 15% of the time. So, and you know what's interesting? And I know we did a podcast about this, the whole best kept secret. Like, if you are not talking about your stuff, then nobody knows what you do. And so, okay, if you want to be the best kept secret, you're not a recipe, right? Where only you're making it. At the end of the day, like, you are hindering your growth by not talking about your business, by not sharing. And again, it should not be salesy. Only 10-15% of the time should it be salesy. Otherwise, it's like just talking about like wins and this and that and behind the scenes and clients, and depending on your type of business, lead magnets and different stuff or whatever, like adding value, and not from a preacher standpoint. But yeah.
The best kept secret, the worst. I would never want to be the best kept secret. I want to be like the go-to, the person, I had a business once where I felt like one of the common things I said was, how do they not know we've been here? We've been here for like a decade. How do they not know? How do they not know? That's on me. They don't know about you because I didn't talk about it, because I didn't get out there, because I didn't put us out there. That was on me. So that people not knowing, in my old ways, I thought that it was, they didn't know about it because they were so ignorant. Like, how could they not know? They're just dumb. I don't know what else they're doing. How could they not know about my business? Again, it was making it about me from an ego standpoint. If I build it, they will come. It doesn't work that way. People are doing their own stuff. People are involved in their own thing. So if you want your business to grow and you want people to know about the problems that you solve, and if you want to share your passion with the world, you got to talk about it. You got to talk about it. This is your open invitation to talk about it. In fact, I want you all to send us a message and talk about it. Tell us about your business. We want to know about your business. Talk about your business.
Yes, I agree. Love it. I can't wait to see who of you are actually going to tell us about your business. I love that. Yeah. Listen, what are some steps that you're going to do besides tell us about your business that are going to help create more consistent dialogue and consistency in your audiences of who you are and what you do? So what are just a couple of steps that you're going to do to create that consistency? Because if you want different results, you have to do different. If you want more business, you have to do different. And this is where you start. Like, talk about your business. How can you amp it up even 10%? So more posts, more testimonials, whatever it is, but start talking about your business. Sorry, not sorry.
100% sorry, not sorry. Talk about your business. We welcome you to talk about your business. And I'll even go so far as to say, the people who don't want to hear about your business, you'll never hear an entrepreneur talk down to somebody starting a business. Same thing. If your circle is telling you like not to talk about your business, I need you to find a new circle. You can be in our circle. You can talk about your business all day long. Come over here. We have cookies.
I would say, because I know that there are some people like that's all they talk about. This podcast isn't for you. We're talking to the people who don't talk about their business, who expect people to just automatically know what they do. I mean, I was thinking of this one. I can't tell you how many times I've told my parents what I do, but because they still don't understand. They still don't understand. And this isn't anything against them. It's just, they are not of that world. They're not entrepreneurs and they just don't understand. So it's so like it's falling on deaf ears because they just can't conceptualize what it is. So, or like listening to people explain what I do. If one more person calls me a goddamn coach, a life coach, I'm going to stab them in their eye. Like, I am not, yes.
Deep throat punch on that. Deep throat punch on that one. You know, it's funny though, you mentioned that because I had my family over during Christmas and they were in the room while I was having a couple of my consulting calls, and they were such very different clients. Like one was, you know, I was looking like Thai labor laws. Another one was a big like corporate group and they were doing a team building. Another one was like a startup. And the conversations that we were having were so different. They're like, what is it that you do again? I don't really understand based on your conversations, one-sided as it was, what it is that you do, because those were very different conversations. I'm like, yeah, but you got to talk about it. You got to talk about your things, but they have literally no clue. I feel like at this point, they're still kind of like, are you going to get a real job? No. Mom and dad, if you're listening, no. I love you.
Yeah. And that's okay because some people don't get it and it's not for them to get, and it is what it is. But start talking about your business, put it out there. Don't do the if you build it, they will come kind of mentality. You have to be out there building know, like, trust, staying consistent with that. And you do that in many different ways. For those of you who only talk about your business, maybe get a hobby, you know?
It's good. Unless your business is your hobby, or maybe you open your hobby and then it becomes a business. I'm guilty of that. I have a hobby and I just have to create a business.
And maybe diversify your life just a little bit. And I'm speaking from experience. Sometimes some of us, our businesses are life, and it's so interwoven, but that's neither here nor there. And that wasn't a stab. That was a personal reflection for both of us, Amanda. Anywho, share this with your people and then tell them about your business. Use this as a calling card to say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about my business just a little bit. Like, who is my ideal client? What I do? Ask me questions. Get to know. But you do the same for them. You do the same for them. All right. Till next time.
Get after it.
All right, everyone. It's not enough to just listen.
Now you've got to put it into action.
We are so excited to see what you do next.
If you enjoyed our show, please leave us a review on iTunes.
And to find out more about what we're doing, visit us at thepursuitofbadasserie.com.